But when you go around, in the pursuit of knowledge, one of the important things, which I even heard in the introduction, which is very important, is that what is the source of your knowledge? Especially when it comes to the knowledge of your faith and your religion. This is a very fundamental question, because we have to realize when you talk about the faith and the deen, you are talking about the akhirah and the eventual, end of the person. And the source there is very important. And this is where we talk about the importance of the role of ulama, who are trained properly and who practice to the best of their ability in the knowledge that they have gained. And especially when you look at the connection going all the way back to the senior, status of the ulama, whom we call the maraji. So whatever you are learning as far as your religion is concerned, you have to make sure, where is this coming from? Because remember, Amir al-Mu'minin when he talks about shubha means, the doubts. He says, why is the shubha called shubha? Shubha and the word shabih are from the same root. And what is shabih? Something which is similar. Why do you call the shubha, the doubtful thing, as shubha? It means that, if somebody wants to misguide you, that person will not bring the 100% agenda that they have, because you will be able to identify immediately. He comes and says to you, well, Ali is your spiritual master, but Abu Bakr is your political master. A Shia knows from very beginning, he will say, go away. So that is not shubha. Shubha it means that the issue would be presented to you in a way that you will be attracted to it. Amir al-Mu'minin says they would take haqq, little bit of from haqq, and mix it with something from batil, mix it up and present it to you. And this is where, when it comes to religious issues, it is very important to know the source. So even when you select a book, you have to find out, where is it coming from? What is the basis of that book? Who is the author? And this is an important issue as far as our faith is concerned. Yes, I am not saying that, every teacher has to be an alim. No. We have different levels. Not everybody is a marja taqleed, for example. Even among the ulama, there is a hierarchy and levels. They have ordinary people who might not be, graduates of a religious school or a seminary, but they teach religion. But the point is to see what is their source. What are the resources they are using? What message are they conveying? Is it connected to the ulama? Is it connected to the maraji or not? And that is an important point. And maybe, I'd like to explain that by an example. I don't even know how many of you are students and how many of you are instructors here. But students are hath uthaye to? Okay. Maybe I can ask you a question. Do you teach, from what I understood as far as your objectives of the organization is concerned, this is a post-madrasa program, isn't it? So you already know things from the madrasa. When you were taught about taharat and najasat, in taharat there is a discussion about water and the categories of water. There is abe qalil, and then there is abe Abe Kathir or Abe Kur. What is the difference between the two? Anybody wants to try? Yeah, but what is the impact? One najasat in Abe Qalil makes the water najis. Whereas in Abe Kathir or Kur, that najasat doesn't have any impact. And so when you look at a teacher, let's say, who is not an alim, if you have a teacher who is alim, certified, known to be a person who is practicing, that is Abe Kur. Okay? If you have a teacher who is not an alim, he is Abe Qalil. But don't worry, I'm still coming. It's not the end of the story. Now, there is another process you learned. There is something known as Muttasil Bekur. What is that? Abe Qalil, which is connected to Kur or Jari. So that water by itself doesn't have that power, but because it is connected to Kur, it acquires that ability. Now when the najasat goes, even that Abe Qalil is protected. So you might have teachers who are not trained in the hawza or the madrasa or seminary, but make sure they are muttasil. They are muttasil with the ulama, they are muttasil with the maraji. And this is where you will make sure that the source of your information is coming from the right source. AlMuntazar organization, you saw the name. That one of the founders and the guide of this organization in India, that's where it started, is Hujjatul Islam Maulana Syed Ali Abidi, who actually is a very close friend of me. Actually, he calls me my brother. He was with me in Qom, but he left early. And so we know one another for many, many years now, 40 years more. And I know him. He's a credible alim. So I have not really seen the books of AlMuntazar organization, except one which was given to me by the brother just 2 weeks ago or so. So that book is okay. But I can trust the source and the guide because I know him. I know him to be a credible alim, a practicing alim, who also has the confidence of Ayatollah Sistani, and he is the wakil of Ayatollah Sistani in India. And so, this is where I see the ittisal, the connection and supervision is there in that way. And so, I would say that, inshallah, this organization will move forward and fulfill its objective, but always keep in mind that it has to be under the guidance of those who have the knowledge and they are connected to the right sources. If you are not trained, or even if you are trained, if you don't know the answer, don't make up an answer. When I went to Qom, when I was 15 years old, when my father came to Qom to settle me down, and when he and my family were going back to Africa, in Mehrabad airport in Tehran, he gave me 3 advice. This was my beginning of the education in Qom. And one of the 3 things he says, then, if you ever end up standing in front of an audience, a very large audience, and somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, just simply say, I don't know. he said at that time it became part of my subconscious. It was later on when I started, studying Nahj al-Balagha, I saw that one of these statements of Amir al-Mu'mineen is that, a person who doesn't know should not be ashamed to say, I do not know. Because once you have that attitude that you know everything, you will not know anything. But when you have this sense that, okay, this is a question I've been asked, I need to, work on it, go and find the answer, this is where your knowledge will increase. Because there is no end to this process of seeking knowledge. As the Prophet says, utlubul ilm min al-mahad ila al-lahad, from the cradle to the grave.